G'day. Rookwood Necropolis is a sprawling cemetery established in 1868 and is the second biggest in the Southern Hemisphere. Much like an outdoor museum, the exhibits lie quietly, some with tombstones, some not. There are many brewers resting with the majority, including Samuel Marks, possibly the first lager brewer in Australia. He died an unusual death at age 84 in a cold bath with an iron bucket on his head. And he knowingly contributed to his own death. He'd not been well. Until 1938, mortal remains arrived by rail at Rookwood Mortuary Station from Central and were interred according to beliefs. But Mark's unusual death was not really his claim to fame. He was aged about 60 when he came to Sydney in January 1882 from San Francisco, where he'd been brewing since 1867. He was also an inventor and held several patents. In Sydney, he established the Sydney Brewery and brewed lager beer, pure colonial lager beer from malt and hops. The Australian Brewers Journal was quite surprised that lager was being made in Sydney. His fortunes waxed and waned over the years, but he still won prizes for his lager beer. He moved to Newtown in 1886 and was still winning. He sold his business in 1898. It had the details of his brewing plant up for auction, so 12 hogsheads, about 29 hectolitres. There's no mention of any artificial refrigeration, and it was sold for £155, equivalent to around $33,000 today. He kept on brewing somehow, and he continued right into his late 70s, pasteurizing his beers to avoid the use of preservatives. Then, after a short illness, there was the bath incident, and as Samuel Marks was of the Jewish persuasion, he was buried in the Jewish section of Rookwood Cemetery. So after a thoroughly useful life, he was at rest. And not too far away lies another brewer. If you want to find out more about Samuel Marks and the other candidates for the title of first lager beer brewer in Australia, I suggest you check out True Blue Brews, which is available print on demand from Lulu, or signed copies from me as I visit homebrew clubs around Australia in the coming months. Thanks for watching. Cheers.